Chapter 441. Yichun, you and I are both new to the Thunder region. Why don't we take a stroll around? Murong Qingqing also didn't have the intention to go back. As one of the top geniuses in South Rudra region, she always wished to look around and see how many powerful geniuses there were in this world. Staying in one place for too long would be detrimental to cultivation. It would be like looking at the sky from the bottom of a well. Yichun nodded. That's exactly what I was thinking. The two had the same destination, so they casually chose a direction. On the way, after some observation, the two found out that this region was one of the 4 great danger zones of the Thunder region, the Thunder Cry Tomb. Its danger was not inferior to the Blood Demon battlefield in the Star Lake. Of course, the danger of the Thunder Cry Tomb was only relative to people below the extreme astral reaching realm. Once one's battle power reached the extreme astral reaching realm, one could basically move unhindered in the Thunder Cry Tomb. When Murong Qingqing met Yichun, she already had the strength of the extreme astral reaching realm. Later on, she obtained the demonic evil stone and condensed her martial soul embryo, further increasing her battle power. Later on, she even transformed her martial soul embryo into a demonic soul embryo, and was close to the critical point. She was only a step away from the true demonic soul. Her battle power was not inferior to ordinary Sea of Soul realm experts. If she cultivated the soul-extinguishing wave, she could almost rival Yichun. As for Yichun, even he himself didn't know how powerful he was. Sky Thunder Cut, Sword Steps, Martial Soul Embryo, 3 Great Attribute Sword Intense, Void Shattering Finger. Any one of them was enough to shock the world. Not to mention the Undying Body Scroll he had just obtained. Exiting the Thunder Cry Tomb without any danger, the two rushed toward the nearest city. 10 days later, the two arrived at the bustling Thunder Lake City. Thunder Lake City and Thunder Lake Sword City only differed by a single word. It was the only major city in the Thunder region, the Thunder Empire. Thunder region is worthy of being the strongest region in the southern sector. The average battle power of the young geniuses far surpasses that of South Rudra region. Murong Qingqing said with a sigh. Yichun said, humans are social animals, so they will always be affected by the environment. The martial culture in the Thunder region is undoubtedly stronger than the South Rudra region. Along the way, the two often saw geniuses who were about the same age as them. Because of Murong Qingqing's beauty, there were also young geniuses who would come over to talk to her. Not a single one of these young geniuses wasn't an astral reaching expert. From their mouths, they learned that they were quite famous in a certain region. However, when asked about the whole Thunder region, they were all speechless. They said that without reaching late astral reaching realm, there was simply no way to compete with them. Even if they reached late astral reaching realm, they would only be at the bottom. This made Yichun and Murong Qingqing rather speechless. It should be known that in the South Rudra region, being able to reach the astral reaching realm under the age of 30 would be enough to make one famous in the whole region. But in this place it was nothing. As one of the most important cities of the Thunder Empire, the Thunderpool City had an astonishing flow of people. Normally, the geniuses of the other countries in the Thunder region would use this place as a gathering point, and there was an endless stream of cultivators coming and going. The Storm Restaurant was one of the 3 biggest restaurants of the Thunderpool City. It had 5 floors, and each floor could accommodate a large number of customers. It was the favorite place for young geniuses and rich and powerful disciples. In the lobby of the 5th floor, 4 young geniuses were talking loudly. I just heard that there was a strange phenomenon in the Thunder Cry Tomb. A several hundred meters wide lightning ball broke out of the ground and soared into the sky. Since the Thunder Cry Tomb is one of the 4 dangerous places of the Thunder region, it also has some mysteries. We've come all the way to the Thunder Empire. This is not the time to talk about strange things. Let's talk about the martial tea gathering hosted by the Thunder Princess. This is the most important event for the young generation of the southern sector. It happens every 2 years. The last one was hosted by the Edict Prince, and this one is the Thunder Princess' turn. You're right. Let's talk about the martial tea gathering. In recent years, the martial tea gathering has become more and more influential. In the past, it was only attended by geniuses of our Thunder region and the neighboring regions. But, starting from the last one, it has already spread to the entire southern sector, including the regions closest to it. The geniuses of the southern sector all consider it an honor to participate. Of course, Didn't you see who hosted the last two tea gatherings? The Edict Prince and the Thunder Princess are both leading figures of the southern sector, and their strength is unfathomable. Although they haven't reached the Sea of Soul Realm, they've both defeated Sea of Soul Realm experts. On the west side by the window, Yi-chan and Murong Qingcheng were listening to their conversation. Murong Qingcheng said, "I've heard about the martial tea gathering." They're right. In recent years, the martial tea gathering has become more and more famous, especially since the last one hosted by the Edict Prince. It has become a palace where the top geniuses of the southern sector gather. And the Thunder Princess hosting this tea gathering is a genius on par with the Edict Prince. She's known as one of the top 5 geniuses of the southern sector. Yi-chan lightly drank a mouthful of wine. He had heard about the Thunder Princess from senior brother Wang of the Dragon God Celestial Palace. She had the Thunder Spirit body, which allowed her to cultivate Thunder Jinyuan with half the effort. She could comprehend thunder mentality or thunder profound several times faster than ordinary people. 1 year of cultivation was equivalent to several years of bitter cultivation for others. 2 years ago, the geniuses of our Thunder region were still the most impressive. I wonder what kind of geniuses will appear this time. The 4 seemed to be in high spirits, and their voices were getting louder and louder as they drank. Comparing the quantity and quality of the geniuses, of course our Thunder region would be the best. However, the region where Edict Prince is from is not to be underestimated either. There are 2 or 3 other regions that are not at a disadvantage, and are right behind the Thunder region. Other regions such as Misty Snow region and Wavy Cloud region are also capable of producing powerful geniuses. On the contrary, South Rudra region is at the bottom as usual. Last time there was only one Sikong Shang. Although his strength is not bad, he can't be ranked at the top in the whole southern region. I really didn't expect him to be one of the top geniuses in South Rudra region. Any top warrior from our Thunder region would be able to sweep across the whole South Rudra region. Even you and me can be the king of the whole South Rudra region. South Rudra region is the last place, but that mountain region is not any better. A young man sitting near the 4 could not hold it in anymore. His face turned pale as he sneered, "Nonsense. Do you think you can talk about all the geniuses in the world?" Hearing him, one of them looked over with a cold expression and said casually, "Please. Zhao Feng from the mountain region." Ha ha ha. Hearing him say that he was from the mountain region, the 4 started to laugh out loud. As far as I know, only the Cold Moon Spear and the Star Competition Mountain are a bit more powerful. Who are you, Zhao Feng? Don't come out and embarrass yourself. The 4 did not give Zhao Feng any face at all. You only talk about being powerful. Do you dare to fight me? Zhao Feng suddenly stood up and yelled. Why not? It is just that the blade is merciless. You deserve to be wounded by me. The young warrior in yellow did not even stand up as he said with a cold voice, "What a great skill." Zhao Feng's weapon was an iron spear. Pouring his Zhan Yuan into it, the iron spear swept out horizontally. The spear light turned into a roaring huge wolf, attacking toward his opponent. Break. The young man in yellow did not even take out his weapon. He made a grabbing gesture in the air with his right hand, and the huge wolf that was formed by the spear light was grabbed by the neck, shattering into pieces. Go back. With a twist of his right hand, the shattered spear light shot out at an even faster speed. Ding! 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 Sparks flew everywhere as Zhao Feng was blown back while holding his iron spear. He spat out a mouthful of blood, crashing through the walls of the 5th floor before landing on the street outside. So weak. The young man in yellow curled his lips. Seeing this, some of the geniuses from the mountain region on the 5th floor lowered their heads. Zhao Feng was not a nameless brat in the mountain region. He was at least ranked in the top 15 or even top 10. Even he had been defeated, so it would be useless for them to go up. Plus, it seemed like the other had not even used 70 to 80% of his power. How could they fight back? Unfortunately, the more they acted like this, the more the young man in yellow and his companions looked down on them. They felt that they had a higher evaluation of the mountain region, so they started to laugh out loud. Someone next to him laughed. Luo Qiu, I haven't seen you for a couple of months, and your power has improved again. I think you will be able to show off a bit in this tea gathering. The person who had attacked was quite famous in the Thunder region. He had reached the peak level late astral reaching realm a year ago, and had formed his martial spirit 3 months ago. It was exactly because of this that Luo Qiu and his 3 companions had the right to be so arrogant and look down on the South Rudra region and the mountain region. Luo Qiu said lightly, "Beating him is not worth mentioning. If I mention it, it would only be an insult to me. But I have to say something. People from the mountain region and the South Rudra region should all go back now, in case they embarrass themselves in the tea gathering and lower the standard of the event." As he spoke, his eyes scanned around the 5th floor, his head slightly raised. The warriors from the mountain region were very frustrated, their faces turning red. It was their first time in the Thunder region, and they were planning to go to the tea gathering to see the level of the martial geniuses in the whole South region. But who knew that they would be defeated before the tea gathering even started? "Let's go." Some of the warriors from the mountain region could not stand the atmosphere anymore, so they lowered their heads and left with their companions. Only a small part of them stayed behind. Yichun put down his wine cup and said to Murong Qingcheng, "Which one of us will do it?" It was not Yichun's style to stay low-key after being humiliated. Whether it was the South Rudra region or the warriors from the South Rudra region, they were all one. Murong Qingcheng was about to reply when she suddenly said, "It seems like we do not need to do it anymore. I, Guyun, will battle with you." 2 young people walked up the stairs. The leading young lady was indeed the number 1 of the hidden dragon rank from the South Rudra region, Gu Yun, a disciple of the Floating Mountain Martial School and the descendant of the Stone King. Gu Yun had just arrived at the Wind and Rain restaurant when she heard Luo Qiu and his companions laughing at the South Rudra region from the 4th floor, even asking them to leave the Thunder region. "So it is a girl. Are you from the South Rudra region or the mountain region?" Luo Qiu did not take Gu Yun seriously either. The young man standing right next to Gu Yun said without thinking, "South Rudra region? Haha, you guys come together. Saves me the trouble of taking care of you one by one." If he could kick all of the warriors from the South Rudra region and the mountain region out of the Thunder region, it would definitely make Luo Qiu famous. He licked his lips, showing his arrogance. Chapter 442. 2 against 1. It is not a fair fight. I alone will be enough. Guyun could tell that Luo Qiu was not a normal warrior. If he was in the South Rudra region, he would not be weaker than Yan Qihua or Li Daoxian. However, she was not the same as before. With the bloodline of the Stone King, her cultivation had increased at a tremendous speed, reaching the peak level late astral reaching realm in just 4 to 5 years. If it were other martial geniuses, they would not be able to make it this fast. Because of the bloodline of the Stone King, it would be the most stable for training. Even if they did not work hard, their growth would still be faster than normal people. Of course, once the potential of the bloodline was used up, it would not be this stable anymore. Therefore, it was not without reason that the bloodline of the king was so valued. Martial geniuses could die easily, and they might not be as good as they were when they were young. But the inheritor of the bloodline of the king would definitely reach a certain height if given enough time. The bloodline of the king was like a paved road. As long as one followed it, it would be enough. Take this. Holding her breath, Gu Yun extended her body, ignoring the 20 meters of distance between them. She appeared right in front of Luo Qiu, throwing out a fist that was shining with a yellow light. The corner of Luo Qiu's mouth curled up as he reached out his left hand casually. Dong! The two had hidden their power inside, not leaking out at all. But the second they clashed together, their power clashed with each other. The aftermath of the attack shook the entire building, as if it was going to explode at any second. All of the young warriors in the lobby hurried to activate their Zhenyuan, trying their best to protect the building. Let's go out and fight. After her fist attack had failed, Gu Yuyun's body turned blurry as she flew out of the building within a second. She was so fast that most of the young warriors could not even see her clearly. They only knew that she was definitely not someone that Zhao Feng could compete with. Otherwise, she would not be able to compete with Luo Qiu. Luo Qiu was a bit surprised as he chased after her. Judging on movement, he was not weaker than Gu Yun at all. He said, "No wonder you are so confident. You do have some tricks up your sleeves, but it is still not enough." The two flew out of the building one after another, hovering in the air above the Thunder Pool city. The rest of the young warriors were very interested in this battle, So they all came to the window seats and looked out. As for Yichun and Murong Qingcheng, they were already sitting by the window, so they could see everything by turning their heads. Boom! Bang 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 bang. In the sky above Thunderpool City, the two of them fought fiercely. The shockwaves from their battle spread out in all directions, dyeing the sky red and yellow. Strong winds blew in all directions. Break! The red light on Luoqiu's palm swirled and turned into a giant millstone. The millstone spun and smashed towards Gu Yun, who was dozens of meters away. Stone King Protective Fist. Gu Yun did not step back. She steadied her qi and blood, lowered her center of gravity, and poured out all of her Zhanyuan. She threw out a powerful punch. After throwing out a punch, Gu Yun's protective Zhanyuan layer thickened a little bit. The dark yellow light was like a small yellow sun, which was not blinding at all. Instead of being shocked, Luoqiu laughed. His hands turned into claws and attacked towards Gu Yun. Every time his claws slashed out, a layer of the little yellow sun would be shaved off. It was obvious that Luoqiu's claw art was much more powerful than his palm art. His extreme fire mentality also contained explosive power. Pap! 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 Luoqiu's claw speed was way too fast. After throwing out dozens of claws, Gu Yun had only thrown out dozens of punches. The burning flame was extremely condensed, looking like red lava. Each drop of lava would turn into a fireball in the air, exploding violently. Her protective Zhanyuan started to dim down, but Gu Yun's expression did not change at all. She used all of her power to defend while attacking back with steady power, giving people a feeling that she would not be shocked even if the sky fell down. Murong Qingcheng said, "She is indeed the descendant of the Stone King. Her training speed is extremely fast, and her understanding of the Stone King's martial art is also not the same as before. This Stone King protective fist art has already reached its extreme. I am afraid that with her power right now, she would at least be ranked in the top 5 of the whole South Rudra region." The King bloodline is not just for show. Yichun could naturally tell how powerful Gu Yun was. When he was in the Hidden Dragon rank competition, Gu Yun's power was only around the top 10. If some of the young warriors who could not join the competition were added in, she would only be ranked in the top 15. However, after 4 to 5 years, Gu Yun had not stopped improving at all. It was not hard to tell that as she reached the astral reaching realm, the potential of the King bloodline had exploded. One day of cultivation would be equivalent to several days of hard work for others. In terms of training, even Yichun was far behind her. Thinking about that, Yichun could not help but think about the other top martial geniuses in the whole South Rudra region. He wondered how powerful they were right now. Thinking about it, Xikongshan and Tuabaku would not be slower than Gu Yun, since the former also had the King bloodline, and the latter seemed to have the King bloodline as well. Stone King Fury. Every time she was hit by a claw, Gu Yun's body would store up a rebounding force. This rebounding force was not released, but it was getting stronger and stronger. When the rebounding force reached its limit, Gu Yun groaned and threw a punch with enough power to shatter mountains and crack the earth. Boom! The explosive shockwave spread out in all directions. Luoqiu had backed out for hundreds of meters under that punch, looking a bit messed up. "So this is your ace attack." Waving his hand to shatter that thick attacking qi, Luoqiu seemed to be thinking about something as he squinted his eyes. "Luoqiu, what are you waiting for? Don't tell me that you cannot even beat her." Luoqiu's friends were laughing, as if they knew that Luoqiu's power was not just this. "What's the rush? I was just warming up." Luoqiu did not seem to mind at all. Soon he opened his eyes back to normal and said slowly, "With a martial genius like you in the South Rudra region, it is not that bad. But I will not go easy on you anymore. This world is a world of power, and it has always been like this." Gu Yun said, "You can do whatever you want. I, Gu Yun, will take it on myself." "All right." Luoqiu took a step forward as he raised his right hand into a claw. 5 beams of red light extended out from his fingers, looking like a massive red sharp claw. The red sharp claw tightened, and the front curled into a hook. It had changed from a casual mode to a battling mode, looking no different from a real sharp claw. Dark red claw. Shoo! Luoqiu appeared in front of Gu Yun, his right hand waving out the red sharp claw. It tore down, leaving a burnt black claw mark in the air. Swoosh! Gu Yuyun's protective Zhen Yuan layer was shattered immediately. She could not even handle one claw attack. But Gu Yuyun was prepared for it. She performed the second ace attack of the Stone King Body Protective Fist Art. Stone King Double Attack. Her left hand turned into a fist, and her right hand turned into a palm. The fist power contained an intense tightening power, while the palm power contained a unloading power. With one punch and one palm attack, Gu Yun managed to block out Luo Qiu's dark red claw attack. It was not over yet. The Stone King Double Attack did not only contain a fist attack and a palm attack, but also a combo attack. As soon as the dark red claw was blown away, Gu Yuyun's elbows attacked aggressively from the left and right. Crack! Luo Qiu, who was supposed to be the main attacker, had his protective Zhen Yuan layer broken by Gu Yun. Seems like I have to get serious. Luo Qiu looked extremely serious. In terms of the same level of power, he had undoubtedly lost to Gu Yuyun. Although he did not want to admit it, there was no point in lying to himself. The good thing was that there was still a huge gap between him and his opponent, which was that he had already formed his martial spirit 3 months ago. With the help of his martial spirit, his battling power could still increase drastically. Back out! The burning fire element Zhen Yuan exploded. Luo Qiu did not take a single step back, but Gu Yun was blown away. Martial spirit. Gu Yun frowned heavily. In terms of training, she was extremely talented, but forming the martial spirit was a training of the soul and will. She was no different from most of the other martial geniuses. With the martial spirit, her battling power could be increased by at least 40 to 50%. I still have a long way to go before I can form my martial spirit. Even with the Blood Evil Stone, it would not be enough. The martial spirit was not something that could be formed whenever one wanted to. One would have to reach the realm first. Once one reached the realm, there would be 2 choices. One would be to slowly accumulate the willpower, and the other would be to use the power of the outside to train it. Gu Yuyun's realm was not high enough yet. Luo Qiu's friends did not seem to expect that he had already formed his martial spirit. They all had their mouths wide open as they mumbled, "This tea gathering. Luo Qiu's ambition is not small at all. Forming the martial spirit is a sign of progress. We are all not as good as him. We were indeed exaggerating before. But now, I am sure that Luo Qiu would be able to sweep the entire South Rudra region all by himself." As they were chatting, Luo Qiu attacked again. 100 Crack Claw. It was a simple movement, but with the help of his martial spirit, it was extremely aggressive. His attacking power and speed had all reached a new peak. Gu Yun backed out again and again, unable to fight back at all. Right then, the space in front of Gu Yun started to vibrate. An invisible power field wrapped around the claw shadows, twisting them and shattering them. Who? Luo Qiu was shocked as he looked over to where Yi Chan and Murong Qingcheng were. Murong Qingcheng picked up a wine glass that was half filled with wine. She said lightly, "You said that there is no one in the South Rudra region. I will sit here without moving. If you can get close to me, then you win." Murong Qingcheng Ishan. Gu Yun had just noticed Murong Qingcheng and Yi Chan. It was not that she was not observant, but she was really attracted by Luo Qiu and his friends. Plus, there were a lot of young warriors on the 5th floor, and they were all about the same age. He is Yi Chan. The young man who came with Gu Yun was studying Yi Chan. In the South Rudra region, Yi Chan was a legend, and the rumors about him had never stopped. All of the disciples from the powerful martial institutions had set Yi Chan as their goal. Of course, there were also a lot of people who doubted his power, thinking that he might not be as powerful as he used to be after all these years. There are 2 more from the South Rudra region. Luo Qiu, leave them to us. Luo Qiu's friends attacked together, performing their top martial arts. Chin. That bright sword light shone all over the lobby as Yi Chan used his finger as a sword, waving it out casually. The next second, all of the windows on the 5th floor had been shattered, and the tables and chairs had all been blown away. That sharp sword aura had almost blinded everyone's eyes, and their souls were shaking. The 3 who were attacking even thought that they were being cut into pieces. Their confidence and aura had disappeared completely. Pooh! The 3 puked out blood as they were blown out of the 5th floor. Chapter 443. What? He beat the 3 of them with one sword attack? No. He did not even use his sword. He only used his finger sword. In the Grand Hall, the young elites from the Thunder Territory and the neighboring territories were all shocked. In their opinion, since these three were Luo Qiu's companions, their strength would definitely not be bad. Birds of a feather flock together. This sentence was applicable everywhere. Plus, that finger sword attack from Yichun was way too powerful. Although it was not aimed at them, they all felt like someone was pointing a sword at their forehead. Luo Qiu had a different opinion from the others. He knew clearly that without using his martial will, he would not be able to win against the three of them. Therefore, he knew how hard it would be to beat them with one finger sword attack. Was he really from the South Rudra region? Since when did such a powerful martial genius appear in the South Rudra region? Luo Qiu felt a bit dizzy as he stared at Yichun, who was still drinking. Right then, Yichun was like a great sword that had not been taken out of its scabbard yet. He did not dare to step forward, because once a sword artist's sword was taken out of its scabbard, there would be blood. It was just that he had already spoken ruthlessly earlier. If he were to leave with his tail between his legs, it would undoubtedly be extremely embarrassing for the Thunder region. He did not want to be criticized by the other geniuses of the Thunder region and be despised by them. Thus, he braced himself and continued to endure. Moving his gaze, Luo Qiu focused on Murong Qingcheng again. Facing the sword artist in blue, I do not have a high chance of winning. But facing her, I should have a higher chance of winning. Plus, I just need to get close to her. Luo Qiu did not lack confidence. He had not used all of his power during the battle with Gu Yuyun, so it should not be too hard for him to get close to Murong Qingcheng. Letting out a breath, Luo Qiu said with a loud voice, I admit that what I said before was a bit biased. There are still one or two powerful martial geniuses in the South Rudra region. But lady, you are too arrogant. How hard can it be to get close to you? Let me show you. Shoo! His body flashed once and three Luo Qius flew out from three different angles and in three different ways. Murong Qingcheng swirled the wine in her glass. The crystal clear wine swirled in the glass, one round after another. When Luo Qiu was 20 meters away from her, she raised the glass with her left hand and poured the wine out. Rumble! The wine, which could be drunk in a single gulp, poured out in torrents, turning into crystal waves that slammed into the three Luo Qius. Luo Qiu sneered, and his Zhen Yuan erupted. Raging crimson fire waves clashed with the crystal waves, trying to evaporate the wine. However, the wine was not as simple as he thought. It was wrapped in a terrifying invisible force field, which made the wine look extremely heavy, as if it was made by the compressed water of a large river. With a poof, it pierced through the fire wave and hit Luo Qiu. Suck! Everyone gasped. Luo Qiu had been blown away by just a glass of wine. This girl's power seemed to be no weaker than the sword artist in blue. Was the South Rudra region really going to rise? Guyun had already returned to the lobby on the 5th floor. Seeing this scene, she thought to herself, Murong Qingcheng is Murong Qingcheng. I thought that my current strength has already surpassed her. Even Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian might not be stronger than me. It seems that I have been too optimistic. Second sister, are you okay? The young man who came with Guyun asked with concern. Guyun shook her head. I'm fine. I did not expect Murong Qingcheng to be this powerful. I think she is even more powerful than Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian. Most likely, unless Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian have both made a special breakthrough. But even if they did, they might not be able to beat Murong Qingcheng. The young man suddenly sighed. Our head brother has not been back for 4 years. I wonder how he is now and how powerful he is now. Second sister, do you think that when our head brother comes back, he will beat Yichun? He said the last sentence in a very low voice. Obviously, he did not want Yichun to hear it. Gu Yiyun did not answer directly. The young man was Li Jia, a disciple from the Floating Mountain Martial School. He was ranked 10th in this year's Hidden Dragon rank. His talent and comprehensive ability were both very impressive. Otherwise, he would not have the right to join the tea gathering hosted by the Thunder Princess. Li Jia was very young, and because of that, he thought very highly of himself. He did not like the fact that his head brother was not as powerful as Yichun. However, only the people who had participated in that year's Hidden Dragon rank competition would know how powerful Yichun was. It was not just his power but that kind of unfathomable power. From the beginning to the end, no one knew where his bottom line was. Just when you thought he had used all of his power, in the next battle, his battling power would increase to the next level, and his hidden ace attacks would be endless. As for her head brother, Xikongshan, Guyun still admired him a lot. In terms of talent, he had the bloodline of the Tsang King, which gave him a lot of potential. In terms of comprehensive ability, he could definitely be ranked in the top 3 in the whole South Rudra region. Both his talent and comprehensive ability were among the top. In just a blink of an eye, 4 years had passed, and her head brother's growth was definitely shocking. It should be known that the bloodline of the king level would only get brighter and brighter until the bloodline's potential was used up. I don't know either because they are no longer people that we can guess, Gu Yun said slowly. Li Jie was speechless. Was the gap really that big? They were all astral-reaching realm warriors, so why couldn't they guess? Plus, now there was also Morong Qingcheng. For no reason at all, he started to worry about his head brother. Before, there was only one Yichan, and now there was also Morong Qingcheng. It had turned into a situation of 3 stars competing for the limelight. A glass of wine had forced me to back off. Luo Qiu's face started to burn, and his eyes started to turn red. It was not that he had not thought about what kind of trick Morong Qingcheng would use to force him back off, but he had never expected it to be a glass of wine. Being forced back by a glass of wine in front of everyone, no matter how arrogant he was, it would still be very humiliating. Take my dark red claw. The martial spirit in between his eyebrows started to vibrate, and a light human shadow appeared on Luo Qiu's body. It was the sign of him pushing his martial will to its limit. He yelled and raised his right hand high above his head. 5 beams of red light extended out, turning into dark red sharp claws, attacking towards Morong Qingcheng. Crack! The claw light had not arrived yet, but the powerful pressure had already left 5 deep marks on the street. Right then, Luo Qiu's battling power had been pushed to its peak. Sky Demon Palm Print. As Morong Qingcheng waved her left hand in the air, a huge black palm print landed on the claw light. Boom! The claw light was shattered, and the huge palm print caused the gravity within hundreds of meters to disappear completely. Some of the buildings had only been scratched slightly, but the top half of them had already started to break down, floating in the air above the Thunderpool City. Dark red armor. Luo Qiu's expression changed drastically as he crazily exploded his Zhenyuan, forming a thick dark red armor outside his body. It covered his entire body, and even his eyes were covered with a layer of red Zhenyuan crystals, shining with 2-foot-long red lights. However, the power gap between the two was too huge. Even with the protection of the Zhenyuan armor, Luo Qiu still could not handle a casual attack from Morong Qingcheng. The armor was shattered inch by inch, and Luo Qiu puked out a mouthful of blood before being blown away. So powerful! Since when did these 2 horrifying martial geniuses appear in the South Rudra region? One of them had beaten 3 martial geniuses from the Thunder region with only 1 finger attack, and the other had blown away the powerful Luo Qiu with ease. This kind of power would be shocking even in the Thunder region. With them participating in the tea gathering, even if the South Rudra region might not be able to shock the world, they would at least be able to stabilize the situation. Calling these 2 the twin stars of the South Rudra region would not be an exaggeration. Twin stars of the South Rudra region. What a great title! If this spread out, the other martial geniuses from the South Rudra region would be able to stand up straight. All of the young warriors in the lobby on the 5th floor started to discuss. They were very interested in Yichan and Morong Qingcheng. The group of martial geniuses from the Thunder region were not as arrogant as before, since they knew that they would not be able to compete with Yichan and Morong Qingcheng. If they were to be arrogant, they would only embarrass themselves, since they were not considered as powerful martial geniuses in the Thunder region. Yichan sat on the chair, shook his head and said, "It seems like he has not given up yet. Let's end this battle with this attack." Morong Qingcheng said. Boom! The red light exploded like fireworks as Luo Qiu flew back. He did not care about the blood on the corner of his mouth as he said with a low voice, "If you can block out my last attack, then I, Luo Qiu, will admit defeat. Make your move." Morong Qingcheng looked very calm. Who? Just as Morong Qingcheng finished her sentence, a wave of invisible heat spread out from Luo Qiu's body. Under this heat, All the pedestrians and residents within miles felt like they were on fire. One after another they ran out of the area looking horrified. In front of their eyes, all the houses around them started to smoke, and tiny flames started to rise up, bit by bit. Luoqiu is going to perform his profound sense martial art. On the street, Luoqiu's 3 friends did not return to the 5th floor of the Wind and Rain restaurant. They were too embarrassed to go back, so they had been watching the battle from below. Great Sun Red God Claw! Luoqiu roared. The air around him twisted and cracked, and the water yuan qi was evaporated completely, making his silhouette blurry, like a reflection in the water that was being blown by the wind. As the air twisted even more and more, Luoqiu felt like there was a volcano hiding inside his body, a volcano that was about to erupt. The boiling heat gathered in his right hand from all his limbs and bones. His right hand was originally ordinary, but in the blink of an eye, it was completely wrapped up by the extremely condensed lava Zhanyuan. Boom! Throwing out a claw attack, the palm power ignited the fire yuan qi in front of him and burned all the other yuan qi. It was like a real volcano eruption. A lot of people suspected that this claw attack would completely destroy the Wind and Rain restaurant and the surrounding area, turning everyone into ashes. A black human figure appeared on Murong Qingqing's body. The horrifying demon intent spread out in all directions. Up in the sky and down on the ground, half of the people in the Thunder City had sensed this demon intent. They were all shocked, as they had never seen a martial intent like this before. The result was obvious. Luoqiu had lost. In terms of attacking power, Murong Qingqing had the extremely rare demon intent, which had reached the critical point. She was only one step away from forming a real demon soul. Even if Luoqiu performed a 20% profound sense martial art, he would not be able to threaten her at all. It came fast and went fast. Luoqiu had lost again. On top of a building nearby, a young man in red and a young man in yellow stood there quietly. The one on the left had a cold expression and a handsome face, while the one on the right was Huang Kaishan, who had lost to Yichan in the Blue Mountain Island. Just as a, let's go. The young man in red turned around and left. Chapter 444. Hehe, I did not expect to see the red water little man here. He did not join the last tea gathering because he thought that he was not powerful enough to shock the world. The tallest restaurant in the Thunderpool City was the 18-floored Treasure Palace, which was one of the top 3 restaurants just like the Wind Rain restaurant. On the 18th floor, a young man in plain clothes watched the battle outside the Wind Rain restaurant from dozens of miles away. The red-robed young man and Huang Kaishan did not escape his sight either. The pretty girl in green chuckled. Head disciple, you should prepare to shock the world this time as well. The young man shook his head. I am not powerful enough to shock the world. On the other hand, that Yichan and Murong Qingqing are very powerful. Perhaps this is not all of their power yet. Head disciple, why do you have to look down on your own? The girl in green was indeed Feng Yanrou's sister disciple Qingzhu. And the head disciple she was talking about was naturally the head disciple of the Floating Snow Martial School, Ling Hanya. Right then she made a face, not satisfied with her head disciple's attitude. Ling Hanya forced a smile. This little sister disciple of his always said whatever was on her mind. Frowning, the beautiful Feng Yanrou in white said, Qingzhu, when you get to the tea gathering, do not speak without thinking. Everything should be based on facts. Got it. Qingzhu stuck out her tongue. Standing up, Ling Hanya said to the two, all right, we have rested in the Thunderpool City for 2 days. Let's get going. You too, I am Lu Ming from the mountain region, also known as the Flying Hand. This is my first time in the Thunder region, and it is my honor to meet you too. I am Sun Peng from the mountain region. I would like to make friends with you too. You two are here for the tea gathering, right? How about we travel together? In the lobby of the 5th floor, after Murong Qingqing had beaten Luoqiu, a lot of young warriors came to greet them. However, most of them were martial geniuses from the mountain region. The mountain region was very similar to the South Rudra region, having been weak for a long time. However, there had been a life and death realm warrior from the mountain region 200 years ago, which was better than the South Rudra region. As for the geniuses from other regions, they did not think that it was necessary to make friends with them, since they did not lack powerful martial geniuses in their own regions. After getting rid of these people, Yiqian and the other three walked down the 5th floor and picked a VIP room on the 4th floor, not wanting to be disturbed. Inside the private room, the four sat facing each other. Guyun said, "I should have guessed that you guys would participate in this martial tea gathering. The Thunder Princess reputation is unprecedented. Almost every genius wants to get to know her." Yiqian and Murong Qingqing looked at each other. The two never expected that after leaving the underground world, they would directly appear in the Thunder region's Thunder Grave and hear the news about the martial tea gathering. Of course, even without the undying body and the underground world, they would most likely come after hearing that the martial tea gathering was about to begin. Yiqian asked, "Are there many people from the South Rudra region participating? You might not know this, but all of the rank 6 martial institutions are encouraging their disciples to join the tea gathering. In the past, the South Rudra region had been weak for a long time, and had never been able to rise up again. The biggest reason was that the circle was too small, and the competition was not strong enough. So, having them join the tea gathering would allow them to see all of the martial geniuses in the whole South region. It would allow them to know how big the outside world is, and how powerful the powerful martial geniuses are. Then they would naturally train hard and try their best to stand out in the next tea gathering." Guyun explained. Yiqian nodded. That was indeed true. Guyun said again, "Before me, Yan Qihua, Li Daoxian and Lin Yun had all left. I estimate that there would be at least 20 people from the South Rudra region participating in the tea gathering. My head disciple had participated in the last tea gathering, so he would definitely join again this time," Li Jie said suddenly. Yiqian glanced at Li Jie. He had a lot of conflicts with the Floating Mountain Martial School. Although it had ended because of Long Biyun, the leader of the school, there was still a knot in their hearts. He understood the reason why Xikongshan had mentioned him. Plus, he also knew that it was impossible for Xikongshan to not have made a breakthrough in the past 4 years. He was afraid that his power would be way more powerful than Gu Yoyun's. Guyun looked at Yiqian and Murong Qingqing with a complicated expression. To be honest, it would be impossible for her not to feel scared about participating in this tea gathering. The South Rudra region did not have any glorious image in the eyes of the other regions. In their eyes, the South Rudra region was the epitome of weaklings, and there were no powerful martial geniuses at all. She was clear that with her own power, she would not be able to make any waves in the tea gathering. She would not even be qualified to serve as a foil. If she was provoked, she would not know what to do. The good thing was that Yiqian and Murong Qingqing had shown up. Yiqian was a legend in the South Rudra region. It was his first time participating in the Hidden Dragon rank competitions, but he had already overturned his head disciple Xikongshan's ruling position. In the past 4 years, the rumors about him had never stopped. Everyone was guessing what kind of realm he had reached, and whether or not he could lead everyone out of the South Rudra region and compete with the geniuses from the other regions. Although a lot of people thought that the current Xikongshan should not be weaker than Yiqian, it was just an assumption without any proof. If Yiqian could maintain his power, the possibility of him beating Xikongshan again would be much higher than the possibility of Xikongshan overtaking him. And Murong Qingqing, who was standing right next to Yiqian, was the epitome of the most beautiful girl in the whole South Rudra region. When people talked about her, they would definitely talk about her beauty. Her power came second, and Guyun thought that she was just SOSO. But now that she had met her again, she realized that she had left her far behind, reaching a realm that she could not even see. Even without Yiqian, the head disciple Xikongshan's position would still be in danger, and Murong Qingqing would definitely have the power to fight for the throne of the #1 young generation in the whole South Rudra region. With the two of them appearing in the tea gathering, Guyun felt a lot more relieved. Facing some challenges, she would at least have that much more confidence. And this was the most complicated part. In the South Rudra region, they were competitors, and her martial institution had conflicts with Yiqian. They had never interacted with each other. She did not expect that once they were out of the South Rudra region, Yiqian would unknowingly hold up an umbrella for them, strengthening their own confidence. She did not know if it was funny or sad. Head disciple, I wonder how powerful you are this time. Guyun sighed and thought to herself. Time passed like water, and the sky started to turn dark. Yi-chan and the other three stayed in the wind and rain pavilion, preparing to rest for a couple of days before leaving. The night was pitch black, and the sky was dotted with stars. The bright moonlight shone into the bedroom through the window, dyeing the room in a soft white color. Sitting on the bed, Yi-chan activated the Undying Body Scroll in his mind and started to study it carefully. The Undying Body Scroll had 3 levels in total. He did not have much interest in the latter 2, but he could still complete the first level. So, the first level of blood flesh healing is to increase the recovery speed of the body. Normally, warriors with light wounds would not need to be treated, as they would recover after a long time. Only some of the more serious wounds would require treatment. But once the first level of blood flesh healing is mastered, the body's recovery speed would increase by hundreds of times, and it would be healed within a second. The more Yi-chan read, the more surprised he was. He did not expect the first level of the Undying Body Scroll to be so mysterious. Increasing the body's recovery speed was related to the mysteries of the human body. The human brain had the memory function, and so did the human body, which was the natural source of the body's recovery. Without the memory function, the human body would be completely crippled, and even a small wound would be enough to kill you. Whether it was healing or taking pellets, it would only increase the body's recovery speed. If you lost the body's recovery ability, it would be very difficult no matter how you tried to heal it, and it might not even have the slightest effect. On the other hand, the blood flesh healing realm was the same as the continuous healing process, but the effect was magnified by 10 or even 100 times. Calming himself down, Yi-chan continued to read. The training of the blood flesh healing realm was not very difficult, but it was also very difficult. It was not difficult because the process was very simple. There was only one step, and that was to brand the physical body with the mental mark or the soul mark. If the mental mark was successfully branded, the blood flesh healing realm would be 1/3 completed, and if the soul mark was successfully branded, it would be a great success. As for the difficulty, it was because it was very difficult to brand the mental mark and the soul mark on the human body. After all, the human body was not a treasure that could be branded at will. Moreover, the human body and the human soul were in the same body. It was so familiar that it could not be any worse. It was because of this familiarity that the difficulty increased by several times. It was like you could move your hands, but could you move your hair at will? No matter what, I should try to brand the mental mark first. When I am more familiar with it, I will start to brand the soul mark. Yi-chan took a deep breath and carefully activated his mental power, branding the mental mark in his body. Failed. The human body was like an hourglass. The mental mark would disappear the moment it was branded. Could not stay for long. At most it could only stay for a little longer. Try again. I should brand according to the human body's laws. There must be a way. Night. Yi-chan tried again and again. Fortunately, his soul source was very powerful. No matter how many times he activated his mental power, he would not feel exhausted. Moreover, his choice was quite correct. First, he branded the mental mark. Mental power was weaker than soul power, so he could try many times. If he switched to soul power, he might not be able to persist for a long time. And this time it is a little bit effective. After countless experiments, Yi-chan finally succeeded. This time it was not a complete mental mark, it was incomplete. Because other parts of the body had been lost, only a part of the mental mark was left in the heart. Of course, he also found that an incomplete mental mark would eventually disappear. But at this moment, the body's recovery ability in the heart was the strongest. He suspected that without any Zhanyuan, it would not be a problem for him to pierce through the heart with a sword. It would be easy for him to repair it. This was a major breakthrough. Taking out a dagger, Yi-chan made a shocking move. He took off his shirt and lightly inserted the dagger into the heart without activating his Zhanyuan. Blood slowly flowed. Yi-chan stabbed 3 inches in, only 1 step away from the heart. However, he did not dare to continue. He just wanted to test the recovery speed of the heart. In a blink of an eye, the blood had stopped. In 5 blinks of an eye, the flesh had started to heal. In 30 blinks of an eye, it was completely healed. Phew! This is too amazing. Without the secret cultivation method of the undying body, even if I knew how to brand the mental mark, I would not be able to succeed. Yi-chan revealed a smile. Chapter 445. The morning of the second day. The lobby of the fifth floor was bustling as usual. Many young warriors who were not in a hurry were chatting while drinking their morning tea. The topic of the morning was who was the strongest among the young generation. In the southern sector, the Thunder Princess, Edict Prince and Astral Spirit Son are the leaders. Although the other two of the top 5 geniuses are as famous as them, their comprehensive power is still a bit weaker. You are right. But who do you think is the strongest among the three? That is hard to say. I personally prefer the Thunder Princess. In recent years she has been the most famous. Her comprehensive ability and talent are both exceptional. Edict Prince and Astral Spirit Son are a bit less famous. Fame is not the standard of power. I admit that the Thunder Princess is very powerful, ridiculously so. But there is no way to deny that she is in the most powerful region of the South, the Thunder region. Therefore she is the most famous. The Edict Prince was famous before the Thunder Princess. 1 year ago, the mysterious girl who suddenly appeared next to him was also very powerful. She was at least in the top 20 of the southern sector. From this, it is easy to see how powerful the Edict Prince is. The mysterious girl and the Edict Prince are inseparable. I heard that she is extremely beautiful, but she never talks in front of people. A young warrior seemed to know some inside information. Hearing everyone's words, Yi-chan, who was drinking his morning tea, smiled. It was useless to guess who was strong and who was weak. For geniuses, 1 or 2 years could change a lot of things. Once they had a breakthrough, their power would improve by leaps and bounds. This was the most interesting part of the competition between geniuses. No one knew who was stronger. Everyone had confidence in themselves and thought that they had improved a lot, which was enough to beat everyone else. Murong Qingcheng is still comprehending the soul-extinguishing wave. Together with the profound martial skills of the sky-flying demon martial school, her power should be able to skyrocket in the future. The soul-extinguishing wave was not a normal low-rank profound martial skill. It was a horrifying killing attack that targeted the soul. Without exaggeration, if she could comprehend the soul-extinguishing wave to a certain level, Murong Qingcheng would definitely be able to defeat those who were stronger than her in terms of comprehensive power. As for me, I will still focus on the breakthrough of the Green Lotus Sword spell. The 9th movement of the Green Lotus Sword art will be second, and then the Undying Body. From the 13th realm to the 14th realm of the Green Lotus Sword spell, there were 3 breakthroughs that needed to be made. When he was in the Extremine region, Yi-chan had already made 1 breakthrough. Now the second breakthrough had also started to loosen. Once the second breakthrough was made, he would not be too far away from the 14th realm. Once the Green Lotus Sword spell reached the 14th realm, his Zhen Yuan would definitely be a lot purer, and the 9 Green Lotus Sword Qi would merge into 1 Lotus Heart Sword Qi. Then his battle power would increase drastically. Next would be the 9th movement of the Green Lotus Sword spell. Originally, he thought that the 9th movement would be just as powerful as the Sky Thunder Cut, but now he realized that he was wrong. The 9th movement would definitely be a lot more powerful than the Sky Thunder Cut. Otherwise, he would have already mastered it a few days ago. However, the potential of the Sky Thunder Cut was not limited to just this, because the current Sky Thunder Cut had only combined 8 movements of the Sky Cloud Sword art. As for the Undying Body, Yi-chan did not expect to succeed in a short period of time. He could not even leave a mental imprint on his body, not to mention a soul imprint. However, it did not mean that the Undying Body would be useless for the time being. If he was lucky, he would be able to leave a mental imprint on his heart 3 out of 10 times. In this way, his heart would no longer be a fatal wound. Besides these 3 aspects, Yi-chan was also training the void-shattering finger. Although he could not escape into the surreal space, the training of the void-shattering finger would be very slow. However, steady progress was the way of the king. I wonder how strong Thunder Princess, Edict Prince, and that Astral Spirit Son are. I'm really looking forward to it. In truth, Yi-chan did not care too much about fame. He was looking forward to seeing someone in the younger generation who could fight him with all his strength. A crazy battle, a battle to his limits, a battle to his heart's content. Although he could also fight Sea of Soul Realm experts with all his strength, it could not compare to the passion of fighting with the younger generation. At this moment, someone suddenly brought the topic to Yi-chan. What do you guys think his strength can rank in the southern sector? He's very strong. I can't see through him at all. Indeed, I reckon that top 20 is very likely. Top 20? Isn't that too high of an estimate? Apart from the 5 great geniuses, there are still a few geniuses in Thunder Region chasing after Thunder Princess. The regions of Edict Prince and Astral Spirit Sun also have a lot of powerful geniuses. Moreover, these 2 tea gatherings will not only have geniuses from the southern sector, but also the neighboring regions. Top 20 is already the peak level. I don't think it's too high of an estimate. Yesterday, the might of his sword finger still makes my heart palpitate. Don't you guys feel it? Everyone turned silent. How could they forget the matter of Yi-chan defeating the 3 geniuses of Thunder Region? At that moment it was the first time they had felt such a sharp sword aura, and even their souls were trembling. This martial tea gathering might create a golden age. Someone broke the silence. The night arrived once again, and lightning flickered in the sky from time to time. In an inconspicuous alley, in an inconspicuous courtyard, 2 mysterious people were conversing. The one on the left was a skinny middle-aged man wearing a dark, colorful robe. His face was purple, as if he had been poisoned. His left hand was playing with a black spider, and his slightly narrowed eyes occasionally emitted a purple cold light. The one on the right was wearing a bamboo hat and hemp clothes. He was sitting there, and if one did not look carefully, one would not be able to sense his existence. He was easily ignored, like a poisonous snake in the grass, waiting for an opportunity to strike. 5 Poison, I didn't expect you to have already entered the Sea of Soul Realm. Relying on your poison arts alone, I'm afraid there are no Soul Realm experts that can do anything to you. A hoarse voice came from the hemp-garbed man. The colorful-robed middle-aged man chuckled. Elder Rain, that kid is not simple. I saw with my own eyes that he was evenly matched with the Supreme Elder of the Sunder Soul Sect, Ghost Moon. It's a pity that my poison arts clashed with my body, or else I would have killed him. Are you sure you can kill him now? In a head-on battle, not 100%. If I'm not wrong, that kid has something you want. The hemp-garbed man said. The multicolor-robed man licked his lips, right? He was also one of the people searching for the secret of the undying body. However, due to his special identity, he didn't appear openly with the others, but acted in the dark. That day, he saw everything that happened in the stone minaret. He thought that the person who disappeared would appear in a few days, but who knew that there would be no result after a month. Later on, he heard that the tea gathering was about to begin, so he decided to wait for Yi-chan in Thunderpool City. If Yi-chan came out, he would probably participate in the tea gathering, and Thunderpool City was the only way. If Yi-chan didn't appear, then it would be a waste of time. He didn't expect that Yi-chan would appear in Thunderpool City as he had expected. He had a premonition that Yi-chan had obtained the undying body, and he was determined to obtain it. With the undying body, his poison Zhen Yuan wouldn't harm his body, and he could use his poison arts without restraint. As for Elder Rain, he had met him by chance. He didn't tell him about the undying body. He, the 5 Poison Ghost General, wouldn't trust anyone. Let's do it. I really want to see how far your poison arts have progressed. The linen-robed man didn't ask anymore. He will. Tonight will be the day he dies. After becoming a Sea of Souls realm expert, the power of his poison-type Zhen Yuan would be several times stronger than before. Dealing with an astral-reaching realm expert would be a piece of cake for him, since it was not a direct confrontation, and the winner would not be decided by offense or defense. Regardless, Yi-chen's Zhen Yuan was indeed at the astral-reaching realm, while his Zhen Yuan was at the Sea of Souls realm. Chapter 446. Hearing his words, the linen-robed man said, "Sword artists have the sharpest perception. If it didn't work the first time, I'm afraid it won't work in the future. But you don't have to target him. Your poison isn't just for killing." "You mean that woman?" The ghost warrior guessed the meaning of the linen-robed man's words. The linen-robed man didn't reply. You're right. There's no need to target that kid. As long as I can poison his friend, he'll have no choice but to come and beg me." The ghost warrior closed his eyes and attached his soul power to the heartless poison chi, urging it to float toward the Wind Rain building for the second time. The poison chi was formless and colorless, and its density was even lower than air. Moreover, the way it floated was very strange, as if it was using the air as a channel. Without carefully scanning with soul power, one wouldn't be able to discover the deadly poison chi in the air. The heartless poison chi appeared in Murong Qingqing's bedroom and enveloped her. Murong Qingqing's closed eyes suddenly opened, and a black light flickered in her pupils. She discovered a wisp of purple in the air, one that couldn't be seen by the naked eye. God knows how she saw it, but it was something that even Yi Chan couldn't see. Reaching out her right hand, Murong Qingqing shrunk in the air. The next moment, the heartless poison chi curled up involuntarily and was enveloped by an invisible force field. Because of the increase in density, the poison chi's color had become very rich. Poison chi. Someone wants to ambush me. The Zhen Yuan in the sky demon force field was corroded. Murong Qingqing's brows creased, and her deep gaze traced the source of the poison chi, trying to find the culprit. However, just as her gaze reached the outside of the Windrain building, the ribbon-like poison chi dissipated. Pop! Pop! Several people nearby fell down without anyone noticing, immediately poisoned to death. Soon after, the residents in the surrounding buildings also fell down. By the time someone noticed, within a radius of several thousand meters, apart from the powerful clasping yuan and astral-reaching experts, not even a chicken or a dog was spared. It should be known that this was only a wisp of poison chi, but it was diluted by poison element Zhen Yuan. After spreading out, it could still kill the majority of people within a radius of several thousand meters. Its toxicity was simply unimaginable, more poisonous than any poison on the market. We've been discovered again. 5 Poison Ghost General's face was burning. The first time he attacked Yi Chun, he had failed. The second time he attacked Murong Qingqing, he had also failed. This could no longer be described as embarrassment, but shame. Damn it. He was a Sea of Soul Realm expert proficient in poison arts, yet he had been defeated by 2 astral-reaching experts. Even without the Ghost General 5 Poisons reminder, the man in linen had already sensed that many people had died nearby. The deaths meant that the Ghost General 5 Poison had lost control of the poisonous gas, or dispersed it automatically. Therefore, the possibility of success was negligible. After all, if he succeeded, there was no need for the Ghost General 5 Poison to kill so many people and bring trouble upon himself. We can't stay here for long. Let's leave first. The linen-clothed man said calmly. The 2 of them hurriedly left the courtyard and disappeared from the area. Creak. The door to Murong Qingqing's room was pushed open, and Yi Chun walked in and said, "Someone seems to be targeting me. Are you all right?" After being attacked by the poisonous gas, Yi Chun released his soul power, radiating in all directions. However, before he could find the attacker, something happened to Murong Qingqing, and the people nearby also started dying one after another. This poison is very powerful. Murong Qingqing raised her right hand in the void, and a twisting force field appeared. The purple poisonous gas squirmed like purple liquid, condensing into a sphere. Yi Chun sized up the poisonous gas and said, "The attacker should be an expert proficient in poison arts. Moreover, the poisonous gas contains soul power, which is hard to detect." Sea of Soul Realm expert. Murong Qingqing's brows creased. Only Sea of Soul Realm experts could use soul power. Yi Chun faintly nodded. The attacker was certainly a Sea of Soul Realm expert. Why would they want to attack us? I don't have any clues, but I can think of one person. The head of the 108 Ghost Generals of 9 Ghost Cult, the 5 Poison Ghost General. It's said that the poison he releases is enough to kill thousands of people. Of course, I'm only thinking of him, but I don't have any proof yet. The southern sector is boundless, and he is not the only one proficient in poison arts. Perhaps there is someone else. Yi Chun didn't remember directly offending any poison arts expert, so he thought of the 5 Poison Ghost General of 9 Ghost Cult. Since Murong Qingqing was fine, Yi Chun bid farewell and returned to his room. The night passed without any words. The next day, the 4 set out together, heading north. The sky was clear and white clouds could be seen everywhere. Below them was a vast plain, and on the plain stood a few steep peaks. Swish! A huge black shadow flashed past the left side of the mountain. Then 2 more black shadows shot out from the other side. The mountain shook a couple of times. First, the left side of the mountain that was grazed instantly shattered into a semicircle, as if it had been bitten. Then, 2 semicircles appeared on the right side as well, making the whole mountain look like a broken apple that had been bitten a couple of times. In the whole southern sector, perhaps only our beast-controlling martial school can travel this easily. A voice came from one of the black shadows chasing them. The speaker was a teenager in brown robes. He had thick eyebrows and tiger-like eyes, and his bones were thick and bulky. The black shadow under him was a huge black eagle, which was more than 10 meters long, and its wingspan was almost 20 meters. It was indeed a top-rank 8 demonic beast, the black wind eagle. The black wind eagle's battling power was not bad, but its most precious part was its speed, which could reach 7 times the speed of sound in a split second. On a black wind condor next to him, a beautiful woman chuckled and said, "Second brother, you've been very happy since yesterday. Are you going to meet your dream lover?" The brown-robed teenager blushed. "Don't make fun of me. I like her but she might not like me. It would be great if I had the strength of head brother." On the back of the black wind condor, a handsome young man in cyan clothes stood with his hands behind his back. Although the gale was blocked out by Zhang Yuan, there was still a trace of air current that managed to seep in, making his long black hair dance in the air, making him look carefree and unrestrained. Hearing the voice of the brown-robed young man using Zhang Yuan, he curled his lips and said in a domineering tone, "Second junior brother, if I were you, I would confess to her directly. It's better for men to be a bit more domineering. Unfortunately, apart from the Thunder Princess, no one has caught my eye yet. Otherwise, I would have said goodbye to being single long ago." The beautiful lady covered her mouth and laughed. "Look, even head brother is supporting you." Scratching his head, the brown-robed teenager's face became even redder. Shoo! 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 The 3 rode the black wind eagle and flew straight ahead, leaving a black trail behind them. The speed of the black wind condor was very fast, overtaking one person after another. When it overtook the 4 people who were lined up side by side, the handsome young man subconsciously glanced at it. With this glance he could no longer look away. Even when the black wind condor overtook the 4 people, he was busy looking back and intentionally slowed down the black wind condor's speed. In his sight, the 4 people were 2 men and 2 women. The young man on the left looked ordinary, and his aura was also ordinary. There was nothing special about him. The young man on the right was a beautiful lady with a wonderful figure. No matter where she went, she would be a beauty. However, the handsome teenager had seen many beauties of this level, so he did not pay much attention to her. The one worth his attention was the young man in blue. He had a long sword on his waist, and his face was delicate and handsome. Although his eyes were very gentle, the handsome teenager could feel a sharp will in them. If a Prince Imperial Beast Emotion could already shock them, then wouldn't they be shocked to death in the Thunder City? Emotion's incident was soon forgotten as a small interlude, and they rushed towards the Thunder City. Chapter 447. The closer they got to Thunder City, the more young geniuses the 4 saw. Among them, there was no lack of top-ranked geniuses. Each and every one of these geniuses had a unique temperament. Some had dignified appearances, some had elegant faces, some were handsome, and some were incomparably beautiful. All of them were dragons and phoenixes among men, dominating their respective territories. Of course, in Thunder City, even a dragon would have to coil up, and even a tiger would have to crouch down. Everyone knew that Thunder City was not like other places. It was a place where crouching tigers and hidden dragons gathered. Apart from the Thunder Princess and a few others, no one dared to be arrogant. Even if there were people who dared to be arrogant, they were already in the past. Thunder City, I want to see what kind of geniuses there are. This time, I must amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. In my opinion, those famous geniuses are not necessarily stronger than me. Along the way, Yi Chan and the other 3 heard such voices more than once. While laughing inwardly, they also began to feel the competitive atmosphere. Thunder City was the capital of Thunder Empire, as well as the #1 city of Southern Sector, and one of the top 10 cities of True Spirit Continent. It was known as the Thunder Palace in the sky and the Thunder Capital on the ground. The vastness of Thunder City was hard to describe with words. Standing dozens of li away, Yi-chan and the other three could only see a black line stretching for an unknown length. This black line was the city wall of Thunder City. Inside the city wall, the silhouettes of buildings rose and fell one after another. Even before approaching, an ancient and majestic aura assaulted their faces, making it hard for them to breathe. Yi-chan remembered that when he first entered Martial City he was also shocked. However, comparing Martial City to Thunder City was like comparing a small cottage to a luxurious mansion. Be it scale, silhouette, or grandeur, they were not on the same level. It was hard to imagine how many years this city had taken to build. This was an ancient city that had stood for several tens of thousands of years. It was the #1 city of Southern Sector, and also one of the top 10 cities of True Spirit Continent. As they approached, the silhouette of Thunder City became more and more distinct. The majestic ancient aura seemed to cause the air to stagnate. Seeing this ancient and huge city, every newcomer couldn't help but quiet down, fearing that their actions would attract some unknown attention. Thunder City. 2 ancient characters were engraved on the city wall. The character Thunder was like a bolt of lightning, incomparably tyrannical, while the character Capital gave people a sense of security. What a great Thunder City! Under the city gate, Yi-chan raised his head and said softly. Upon entering the Thunder City, the aura of the ancient city underwent a slight change. Amidst the ancient and boundless aura, one could feel a resplendent and flourishing aura that hadn't changed for thousands of years. It was as though even the passage of time wouldn't cause it to lose its color. Even now, it was still the most flourishing city in the Thunder City. On the street that was as wide as a square, there was an endless stream of horses and carriages, and the hubbub of people. As far as the eye could see, a dense mass of people covered every inch of the street. The towering shops and restaurants on both sides of the street were like the dam of the river, encircling the torrent of people inside. Almost every 10 people there was a young man. Every 10 young men there was a genius. Every 10 geniuses there was an outstanding talent. Perhaps it was because of the abundant dragon fountain chi, but Yi-chan seemed to be able to hear countless dragon roars. Of course, these faintly discernible dragon roars weren't the real deal. If one had to describe them, they were mostly roars of beasts, which could only be counted as the roars of flood dragons. In the sky above the Thunder City, the air currents were surging, and the clouds were constantly changing. Looking carefully, one could make out many dragon-shaped air currents. Finally, the biennial martial tea gathering has arrived. I Huang Yuan will definitely shine. At the very least, I will let others know my name. Some of the young men who had just walked out of their homes felt their blood boiling, their eyes shining brightly. This time, the number of young talents participating in the martial tea gathering is the highest. If you want people to remember your name, you won't be able to do it without 1 or 2 unique skills. Brother Huang, you better be mentally prepared, in case the gap is too big and you can't handle the pressure. A young man who had some experience reminded him. There were countless restaurants in the Thunder City. At the first crossroad there was a luxurious restaurant. Yi-chan and the other 3 walked in. Innkeeper, give us 4 guest rooms. The manager glanced at the 4 and said with an apologetic expression, I'm sorry, our restaurant is full. To be exact, it was full 3 days ago. The 4 were helpless and could only choose another restaurant. The result was the same as before. All the restaurants that looked more luxurious were full, and the slightly inferior ones couldn't even find a single empty room. At this time, Guyun said to Yi-chan and Murong Qingcheng, the martial tea gathering is around the corner, and there must be a lot of people in the Thunder City. With the 4 of us together, it will be hard to find a restaurant with 4 empty rooms. Why don't we split up? That way, the success rate will be increased by half. Yi-chan nodded. She was right. It would be easier for 2 people to find a restaurant. This was something that would never happen during the gathering of geniuses in the past. Therefore, the situation of 3 dragons contending for hegemony couldn't possibly exist this time. The southern region would be dominated by an even more powerful true dragon. He was quite clear that the true dragon and false dragon mentioned by his master was a kind of invisible and intangible phenomenon. Only people proficient in geomancy and astrology could sense them. Of course, life and death kings could also see them. Moreover, life and death kings could even influence the geomancy and astrology. Little guy, just wait to eat the table. But I should go somewhere else. How can a table be enough for one person? At least a bit more. With mischievous thoughts in his mind, the young man quietly left the restaurant. Watching the young man leave, Yichan chuckled, then found an empty table with Murong Qingcheng and sat down. In another restaurant not far from this one. If I didn't come out, I wouldn't have known. Only after coming out did I realize that there are so many geniuses in the world. We're no different from frogs at the bottom of a well. Li Daoxian drank a mouthful of wine and sighed emotionally. Yan Qihua said, "What? Are you scared?" Li Daoxian shook his head. "Not scared, but excited." "That's more like you." The relationship between Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian was very strange. They were friends but also rivals. Before Yichan appeared, they had been fighting openly and secretly for the first place of the hidden dragon list. Even after Yichan appeared, their relationship didn't change. Putting down the wine cup, Li Daoxian looked out of the window and said, "I wonder where they are." He was talking about Xikongshan and Yichan. In the whole South Rudra region, only these two were relatively powerful. One had the bloodline of a king warrior and was born with the appearance of a king warrior, while the other had suddenly risen up and changed the current situation. Nothing could stop his rise. Xikongshan will definitely appear. As for Yichan, I don't know about it. Yan Qihua knew Xikongshan very well. He was younger than him but had a bigger goal than him. He did not believe that he would slowly sink after losing to Yichan. The setback would only make him stronger, and it would be easier for him to reach the peak. If Yichan did not appear, Yan Qihua would actually think that his road to become a life and death realm warrior would be bumpy. After all, there had never been a martial genius who could become a life and death realm warrior so easily. As for Yichan, Yan Qihua really could not see through him. He was like the clouds in the sky, gathering and dispersing randomly. He was also like the wind, shapeless and formless, giving him a strange and horrifying feeling. During that hidden dragon rank competition, it was the first time that he had lost his composure and wanted to beat Yichan so badly. But now, it seemed that he had subconsciously thought that if he did not surpass Yichan as soon as possible, he would not have another chance. Yeah, think so too. But I still believe that he will come, whether it is intentional or not. Li Daoxian took a sip of wine. A sword artist's intuition? Yan Qihua felt that Li Daoxian was getting more and more mysterious. Li Daoxian shook his head. To say that intuition was not accurate, it should be stubbornness. The two of them sitting in the lobby were way too eye-catching. One was a blade artist and the other was a sword artist. The shapeless blade chi and sword chi interweaved together, creating invisible sparks, which made the people around them not want to get close. They would look over from time to time trying to guess which region these two geniuses were from. In the middle of the lobby, Yichan smiled. What a coincidence. There is someone I know nearby. He did not push his soul power, but he could still sense the clashing of Yan Qihua and Li Daoxuan's chi. When blade and sword met, it was always a battle. It was not about the individual, but the natural resistance between blade and sword. Neither of them wanted to be suppressed. Murong Qingcheng frowned. She could not sense anything. Yichan's chi was way too sensitive. There were so many chi coming from all directions and they were all mixed together. It was a complete mess. It was unbelievably hard to tell if it was someone she knew or not. Chapter 448. Yichan and Murong Qingcheng arrived at Thunder City neither too early nor too late. After a day of rest, the tea gathering officially began on the third morning. The morning in Thunder City was different from the outside world. The thin mist had a hint of blue in it. This wasn't because there was something wrong with the mist, but with the buildings of Thunder City. The buildings of Thunder City weren't made of ordinary materials, but a special kind of thunderstone. The thunderstone had the effect of disintegrating thunder and lightning. After a long time, the thunderstone would reflect a faint blue light. This blue light was normally invisible to the naked eye. Only when it was foggy or the sky was dark would it reflect the mist, giving it a hint of color. The thin mist did not affect the enthusiasm of the crowd. The sky had just brightened, but the entire Thunder City seemed to have revived, bursting with an astonishing vitality. The degree of excitement was simply shocking. Raising one's head, even the slowest person could see the changing winds and surging air currents in the sky. The biennial tea gathering was the time for the young generation to prove themselves. Being a king in one's own territory was nothing, but being able to do so on the stage of the southern sector was something to be proud of. A lot of people had put in a lot of effort and blood for this tea gathering, waiting for their fame to spread across the entire southern sector. Now, the tea gathering was finally about to begin. Apart from a few people, everyone was very excited and nervous. They could no longer restrain their battle intent, which soared into the sky. Countless battle intents interweaved in the sky above Thunder City, giving people the illusion that a group of dragons were dancing and the sky was changing color. The fiery atmosphere didn't affect Yichan and Murong Qingcheng at all. The two went downstairs and ate breakfast and drank tea together, as if it wasn't a martial tea gathering, but an ordinary afternoon tea. Sitting by the window, Yichan raised his head. In his line of sight, the sky didn't change at all. It was still the same scene of surging winds and scudding clouds. However, by relying on the dragon vein qi within his body, he could sense the other 3 true dragon qi. Adding himself, there were 4 true dragon qi in total. These 3 true dragon qi should represent Thunder Princess, Edict Princess, and Astral Spirit Sun. For true dragons, 7 to 8 fake dragons with the appearance of true dragons, dozens of flood dragons, and hundreds of serpents that have the chance to transform into flood dragons. The entire Thunder City could be said to be a dance of dragons. In a nearby restaurant, it was rare for Yan Qihua to say something to encourage Li Daoxian, which was also to encourage himself. Work hard, don't lose the face of our South Rudra region. You too. Yes, let's work hard together. In the sky, the 4 true dragon qis were clearly separated, and beside them were 9 false dragon qis. But now, an extremely lofty false dragon had appeared out of nowhere. In a short period of time, 2 fake dragons had appeared. Fourth night, you seem a bit excited. Outside the west gate of Thunder City, 3 figures were standing there. The young man with godlike eyes said indifferently, "It's nothing. Let's go in." The figure on the left curled his lips and said, "Even if you don't say it, we know that you have a huge grudge with that Yichan. This time he will most likely appear in the tea gathering. And after 2 years of training by the Tower Master, you are no longer the same as before. You talk too much. You talk too much. He isn't that simple." Alright, I won't say it. But I really hope that he can participate in the tea gathering. The 6th night, and I would like to see if he is as powerful as you say. Perhaps he has already lost his brilliance in the past few years and has become a fallen meteor. That won't happen. The leading young man did not say anything else and walked into the city gate. Alright, time to go to Mianxiu Garden. Yichan stood up and suddenly said, "You don't need to suppress your aura. The sky doesn't need another fake dragon like you." Murong Qingcheng shook her head. "A fake dragon will always be a fake dragon. Plus, I'm different from you guys." "Oh." Yichan glanced at Murong Qingcheng. In her eyes, he was very mysterious, but in his eyes, how could she not be mysterious? He had a premonition that Murong Qingcheng was not that simple. Even without demonic will, even without any improvement, she was not a simple character. She just didn't like to expose herself. Perhaps there was a reason. The moment Yichan walked out of the restaurant, the sun had just risen. The first ray of sunlight sprinkled on his body, making him seem as if he was not a person of the mortal world. The shopkeeper and the waiters of the restaurant were dumbfounded. Even after Yichan left their line of sight, they still hadn't recovered. Mianxiu Garden, the first garden of Thunder City, occupying an area of 800 hectares, its scale was enormous, not inferior to a small city. The venue of the tea gathering was here. Outside the garden, a group of astral-reaching experts were guarding. On the left and right side of the entrance, there were 2 pillars used to test offensive power. There were 10 rows of crystals on the pillars, 10 in each row. Below the crystals was a thin crystal plate. One needed to be qualified to enter Mianxiu Garden. This qualification didn't depend on fame but on strength. It was difficult to determine one's strength in a short time using conventional methods. However, the pillars were much easier. After all, although strength wasn't directly related to offensive power, if one's offensive power wasn't strong, then one's strength wouldn't be that great. A truly powerful person couldn't be weak in any aspect. What level must one reach to be qualified to enter? A youngster asked. An astral reaching expert guarding the entrance said, 78 and above, including 78. Hiss. Hearing these words, the youngster at the back of the line sucked in a breath of cold air. What kind of joke was this? 78 and above? The last tea gathering wasn't this harsh. It wasn't like they hadn't seen the pillars before. The crystals on the pillars were used to display data. The first and second rows corresponded to the offensive power of mortal realm martial artists. The third and fourth rows corresponded to condensing reality realm. The fifth and sixth rows corresponded to clasping yuan realm. The seventh and eighth rows corresponded to astral reaching realm, and the ninth and 10th rows corresponded to sea of soul realm. Each row had 10 crystals. In order to reach 78, one would have to light up 7 rows of crystals, and the 8th row would also have to light up 8. The remaining 2 would be the full value of astral reaching realm. The astral reaching expert guarding the side sneered, "If you can't reach 78, I advise you to go back. This is the tea gathering, the highest palace of the southern sector's geniuses. It's not a place ordinary people can enter. Even if you enter, you'll only lose face. Why bother? Let me try." The youngster who first asked clenched his teeth and operated his Zhen Yuan to the limit. He then used his strongest martial skill and slapped his palm on the pillar's crystal plate. Pung! The pillar didn't move at all, but the crystals on it quickly lit up. 1 row, 2 rows, 7 rows, 1 crystal, 2 crystals, 6 crystals. By the 6th crystal of the 8th row, the crystals couldn't light up anymore. Damn, let me try again. The youngster bit his mouth until it bled. He had come to the Thunder City with great difficulty. If he couldn't participate in the tea gathering, not to mention his own discomfort, he would be ridiculed when he returned. Now that success or failure depended on this, he didn't believe that he couldn't reach 78. There were 3 chances to test the offensive power, and the astral reaching expert guarding the side didn't stop him. Pung! The crystals lit up again, and this time it was a bit faster than before. By the time it reached the 7th crystal of the 8th row, there was still a bit of power left, and it rushed to the 8th crystal. Although the 8th crystal quickly dimmed, it had indeed lit up. The youngster looked at the guard expectantly. The guard glanced at him, seeming to not be able to bear it, and said, "Pass." Roar! The young man waved his arms towards the sky. The excitement in his heart could not be expressed with words. Perhaps he was just a guest, not even a supporting character. However, participating in the martial tea gathering was an honor in itself, something that no one could ever erase. Next, the participants stepped forward one after another. The threshold of 78 was too high. Many people tried their best and even performed exceptionally well but still couldn't pass. Meanwhile, some people easily reached 79 or 80. Those who failed were dejected, secretly wiping away their tears. Those who succeeded were either incomparably excited or indifferent. All sorts of emotions were flowing in this place. Chapter 449. Bang! The crystals on the pillar flickered chaotically. From the 1st row to the 8th row, it only took a blink of an eye. When the 10th crystal on the 8th row lit up, it immediately turned scarlet, then purple and finally black. The examinee was not a nobody, but a famous genius of Thunder region. However, he couldn't even be ranked in the top 10. 80 black. He actually reached the final limit of astral reaching realm's attack power. Everyone discussed spiritedly, gasping in admiration. It should be known that under ordinary circumstances, 80 crystals was already the maximum value of an astral reaching realm's attack power. However, the last crystal on every 2 rows had been tampered with, allowing it to emit 3 colors. The first color was scarlet, the second was purple, and the third was black. The meaning of red was purple and purple was black. It could vividly reflect the examinee's attack power. If it were only this, everyone wouldn't be so shocked. What shocked them was that the examinee couldn't even be ranked in the top 10 of Thunder region. Didn't this mean that there were at least 10 people in Thunder region who could produce Black 80, or even above? Too powerful. Thunder region is worthy of being the strongest region of Southern sector. Be it comprehensive strength, average strength, or peak strength, they all surpass other regions. Black 80, perhaps the strongest experts of Mountain region and South Rudra region are also at this level. Perhaps not yet. The examination proceeded in an orderly manner. Through observation, it could be seen that only 10 to 20% of the examinees could pass this test. Soon it was Yi-chan and Murong Qingqing's turn. Murong Qingqing did not use all of her power. She lifted up her left hand slightly and hit on the power measuring column crystal from a distance. 80 black. Without waiting for the astonishment of the crowd, Yi-chan also began his test. Raising his index and middle fingers, he tapped in the air, and the 80th crystal also lit up black. Another black 80. 2 consecutive black 80s made everyone pay attention to Yi-chan and Murong Qingqing. However, they had never seen the two before, and didn't know which region they were from. At the other entrance of Beautiful Garden, Edict Prince is here. I wonder if he can produce 80-something. You'll know once you see it. Amidst the whispers of the crowd, Edict Prince faintly smiled and flicked out a finger energy. The finger energy collided with the crystal, and the crystal flashed with a dazzling radiance. It was Black 80. Black 80. It seems like the Edict Prince didn't reveal his true offensive power. That's right, how many people are willing to reveal their strongest offensive power on the strength testing pillar? Basically, it's fine. No, there is one. Although he won't reveal his true attack power, he will definitely be in the limelight. You mean the Astral Spirit Son, right? Indeed, Astral Spirit Son doesn't like to be under others. Among the 3 true dragon rank geniuses, he's the most domineering. Look, Edict Prince's female companion is also about to test her offensive power. The beautiful woman called Wuxia did not move at all. She only glanced at the crystal. The crystal exploded, and the result was Black 80. What kind of attack is that? I'm sure she didn't make a move. I'm not sure. Maybe he did, but we didn't see it. Everyone was surprised and bewildered. Let's go in. Edict Prince pulled Wuxia's hand and entered Splendid Garden. At the third entrance of Mianxiu Garden. 84. Astral Spirit Son indeed has the offensive power of a Sea of Soul Realm expert. Moreover, it's not 81 or 82 but 84. He's even stronger than an early Sea of Soul Realm expert. Perhaps this is not his strongest attack. Very likely. He has defeated Sea of Soul Realm experts before. Enjoying the worship of others, the red-haired youth stepped into Splendid Garden. The aura emanating from his body was like that of a demon or devil, wantonly and without restraint. If an ordinary person were to deliberately act like this, it would only leave the impression of arrogance. However, it was so natural for the red-haired Astral Spirit Son, as if he was born this way. Behind Astral Spirit Son, the purple-haired bewitching woman revealed a smile and inwardly said, "Senior brother, this time, I came not only to challenge Thunder Princess and Edict Prince. After challenging them, it will be your turn." Pung. The result was Black 80. The purple-haired woman left behind a fiery figure. The Splendid Garden occupied a vast area. The location of the tea party was the Mountain River stage at the center of the garden. The Mountain River stage was actually a platform with a circumference of several li. It was milky white in color, as if it was made of fine white marble. However, those who had visited the Splendid Garden knew that the material used to construct the stage was not white marble, but the essence left behind by the Thunder Vein stone. It was called Thunder Vein iron. The Thunder Vein iron was used as the foundation, and a layer of top-grade white jade resin was cast over it, giving it a grand and heroic appearance. The Mountain River stage had pavilions arranged in picturesque disorder in all 4 directions. Only the center was a huge empty space of 2 li. At this moment, the Mountain River stage was already filled with a large number of youths under the age of 30. Moreover, the number was increasing rapidly. In a short while, it had become a black mass. What a good feng shui land. Relying on his dragon vein qi, Yi-chan could see the uniqueness of the Mountain River stage with a single glance. This place was like the Dragon's Eye of Thunder City, adding the finishing touch. Murong Qingqing glanced at the mountain river stage, but in the next moment, her gaze was attracted by two young men. The person walking in front of them was a handsome young man wearing a robe with 7 stars. His eyes were warm like jade, and he was tall and slender. When he walked, he didn't make a sound, but he didn't give off a strange feeling. Instead, it was as if he was walking on clouds. Wherever he went, the atmosphere would change. The red-haired young man walking over from the right was the complete opposite of the handsome young man. His aura was like that of a demon, extremely domineering. It was as if he was a demon general who controlled the world. His powerful aura even caused the atmosphere he was in to change. It was a bloody storm, and the wind and rain were everywhere. Involuntarily, Murong Qingqing tilted her head to look at Yi Chan. This blue-robed swordsman who came from the same place as her had always been so calm. Although he was among so many geniuses, it was impossible not to notice him. He was neither exceptionally eye-catching, nor was he exceptionally easy to ignore. He was always in the middle, impartial and calm. At first glance he seemed to be extremely calm. Only when one calmed down, would one be able to feel that peerless sword chi from his calmness, that sharpness that could draw blood at any time, and that tremor that could change the color of the world. Just as Murong Qingqing had expected, there were not as many people paying attention to Yi Chan as she did. Even the handsome young man and the red-haired young man had noticed her first, and did not take Yi Chan as their main target. It was not because they did not have enough observational power. In fact, Murong Qingqing and Yi Chan had only sensed it after staying together for a long time. If it were other spirit warriors or master-level warriors, they might not be able to tell that Yi Chan was not ordinary at all. There were 4 true dragon chi in the sky, but facing each other, it was very hard to tell who had the true dragon chi. Yi Chan also could not tell directly from observation. Only life and death realm warriors and masters proficient in feng shui and astrology would be able to tell, and it had nothing to do with power or observation power. Gradually, the number of people rushing over decreased. There were more than 300 people on the mountain river stage, close to 400. Among the crowd, Yi Chan saw Yan Qihua, Li Daoxian, Tua Baku, Lin Yun, Bingling, Gu Yun, Qian Yun, and the others. Of course, there was also Sikong Shang in black robes. Yi Chan, Murong, long time no see. Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian walked over. Yi Chan said, "You too." "Aha, Yi Chan, it has been a long time. After the tea gathering, we must have a good battle. These years I have been through hell training." Only Tua Baku could talk to Yi Chan like this. When he first met Yi Chan, it was to challenge him. Yi Chan forced a smile. "Let's deal with this tea gathering first. Don't worry. Although we are small in number, we will not fall behind." Tua Baku was extremely confident. Soon after, Bing Ling walked over with a cold expression. On the other side, Si Kongshang and 2 other young men in black robes stood together. "So he is Yi Chan? He does not look like much." The younger man in black robes studied Yi Chan carefully and said. Si Kongshang said, "We will know soon. Why ask so much?" "Oh, to be able to make you pay so much attention to him, he should have some tricks up his sleeves. I wonder to what extent." 7th night, don't talk too much. Those who can participate in the tea gathering are not easy to deal with. Be careful not to fail. Don't worry. I am not a 3-year-old kid." With a deep look, Si Kongshang shifted his gaze to Yi Chan. Right at this moment, Yi Chan also looked over and their eyes clashed. "Yi Chan, I have waited for a long time for this tea gathering. You did not disappoint me choosing to participate in it." Si Kongshang was very excited. A lot of people did not know that he was actually the first knight of the 7 Knights of the Moon Pavilion, which was only a branch of the Evil King Pavilion. After the last tea gathering, he had been invited by the Evil King to the Evil King Pavilion, but his identity had changed a bit. From the first Knight of the Moon Pavilion to the 7 Knights of the Evil King Pavilion, he had improved at an insane speed. Not only did he get rid of the identity of the 7 Knights, his ranking had also increased rapidly, becoming the 4th Knight of the 7 Knights of the Evil King Pavilion. His power was only below the 1st Knight, 2nd Knight, and 3rd Knight, which made him very valued by the Evil King. This time he came back not only to redeem himself in the tea gathering, but also to defeat Yi Chan, his archenemy, to fulfill his biggest wish. "Yi Chan, wait for my challenge." Seeing the shocking determination in his opponent's eyes, Yi-chan revealed a light smile on his face. After 4 years he had indeed become more powerful, and his identity seemed to have changed as well. The two young men next to him were not simple at all. Although they looked calm, there was an extreme confidence hidden within. That kind of confidence was different from normal confidence. To be more precise, it was a kind of glory, a glory of status. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.